What's up, everybody? Awkward Alex Games. Our new challenge for SW Idol was to do an RTA video. The issue is, I already did the thing that I like to show off the most is free-to-play compositions for RTA as my first video. So, in this one, I decided to take it a different route and show off why I believe that Swift is actually better than Violent in most cases in RTA. And my reasoning for this is the fact that Swift units, obviously going to go first. Don't pay attention to that. I don't use that monster. Obviously going to go first. So, if you have extremely fast units, you can end a battle or control more of the, attack bar throughout the battle instead of relying just on some RNG. So for this, I ruined up a few units. I've got Gemini here on Swift Focus. I have my, Lagmaron here. Swift, terrible accuracy for if I want to get stuns and stuff, but on a Swift set, along with my, where is it? Rauk here, who's decently fast as well. Not great damage, but he's good for finishing off units. I've got him on Despair, not Swift, but still relatively fast. I kind of had to throw a little bit of something together here. I do have units like Hathor and Ganymede decently well ruined, but I figured those are pretty meta units. People know how they're supposed to be using those. I don't even use my Diana. I was thinking about doing Lauren, but I actually use her in a PvE team, hence the fight runes. So, along with those units, I also have my Fran, which is in storage, on a very nice Swift set. Her attack is a bit low, and obviously you actually want accuracy for a unit like this, but I sacrificed that for speed. Don't have Will on her because I pretty much move before everything else. I have her decently tanky, more of a hybrid tanky and attack build, so that way she can get some heals in. But she's in there to get that first turn attack bar buff. And like I showed in another video, people don't really tend to ban the more free-to-play style units. So I figured it was relatively safe putting them on those kind of, runes. The only one that I really keep on Violent is, well, I used to have him on Violent. Switched him to Revenge and Will, which may not be as easy for someone earlier on. Relatively tanky. Lowered his speed a bit, but it works. And then Swift Shihao, which I absolutely love him on Swift. So, I did some testing. Oh wow, exactly rank 5,000, that's cool. I need to do a bit more RTA, but in these battles here, yeah, I lost one earlier, and that's a shame, but we'll start off with this one. And I'll explain why the teams worked the way they did. Because a lot of them aren't going to make a lot of sense.
Yeah, this is big brain time.
Bring in the attack bar buff, the strip, and Lagmaron for damage, and I realized that this is a pretty fire-heavy team, so I had to bring in something to help me out here. So, disclaimer, my Hraesvelg is on Violent. I knocked it out of the way as soon as possible to get rid of the Vanessa, the Vanessa's passive. And as soon as my Lagmaron died, a lot of people I've noticed will quit if one of their key units dies. But this became more like an Ajir showcase here, because he's just absolutely insane against fire teams. Barely survives, brings it in. He's just gonna destroy with turn cycling, which is kind of the whole point of my Swift team too. He is arguably the best Nat 4 to be using in RTA currently, which I'm sure a lot of other people will touch up on when they talk about RTA as well, but this one's, I kind of have it going a bit faster because it's not really what my video wanted to be, but it just blows my mind. And a lot of people say he needs to be nerfed, but I disagree for one reason. It's a Nat 4, relatively easy for anyone to get. So, but just look at that. Perfect. I love Ajir so much. Right, let's go to a video that actually showcases a bit more of the Swift monsters here. We'll slow down the video too after the pick band. Okay, so I went with my usual team with Swift. He must have had an extremely fast bomber there. I was surprised he outsped me. So my goal was to get rid of him first, just because he was an easy target. Got the will and attack bar up, which negated their options to use Asima's Z-buffs, use Samath's reset, or Sierra's bombs. Hence why Fran is such a versatile unit in this team. Quits immediately. Like I said, when they lose one person and they realize that you have the advantage with attack bar manipulation, people just back out. It's absolutely fantastic, honestly. Watch this one. I don't remember if I won or lost this one, though. So I'm going to try to always get in my key Nat 4s here. Go Gemini Bird. He took my Fran, which really worried me, honestly. I had to go with some different units, but yet again, the only violent monster I'm using is Ajir. So it's not like high rune requirements for this team. You saw the rest of the runes. None of them are fantastic except for, I guess, Gemini Speed. It scared me because this team actually has some nice composition here with both Diana and Antarius there kind of being their own, like, they counter each other, but that makes them work well together, if that makes sense. I had to knock him out first, even if it meant losing my Ajir. But, yet again, Ajir is somehow immortal, so it worked out. Take him out, and then from here on, it was just easy going. As you can see, a lot of these people, the monsters that these people are using generally are supposed to be rune violent, okay? And this kind of shows that even with my wonky team, because my team honestly doesn't make a lot of sense together, as you can tell. It's mostly just speed and then keep getting more turns. That's it. Like, if they ban one damage, I've got one left and almost no sustain. This guy beat me, which really surprised me because of the team he had up. I was kind of overconfident here. I was like, oh, I'll take out his Ajir, no problem, yada yada. But I forgot about one thing. If I'm not careful and I don't protect my attacker, I'm totally screwed when it gets to the end and it's just me versus his Leo. Because that thing, the lower HP you get it down to, it just absolutely destroys you. So it was actually kind of embarrassing that this guy didn't really bring a team that made sense either. And I was like, oh, easy peasy. But this kind of shows how it's really easy to underestimate people in RTA. So the weirder the team you have and the less meta it is, the better, because people don't think about the easy counters for it. Like, sure, a lot of my units are meta, but no one really thinks about them together.
I'm about to end this man's whole career.
Yeah, see, right there, that I didn't want to give up. I had to keep trying, but that Leo just destroyed me. I actually kind of want to try him in RTA now. But, so as you can see from what I did here, a lot of times Swift units are kind of a better option in RTA. A lot of people are always like, oh, you need this on Violent, you need this. But honestly, it's not always the case. Like, if you can outspeed them, there's a very high chance you're going to win. Just because of the fact that, I mean, what do I even use here? Okay, so this was a little bit more of a meta team, I guess, but we'll get this playing while I'm talking about it. Swift units give you a guaranteed result, while violent units do not. Violent, you have a chance to kind of proc into more skills, proc out of sleeps and stuns and things like that. But if you put on a rune set that has a guaranteed effect, like Rage, okay, you know exactly what you're getting out of that. Swift, you know exactly what you're getting out of that. Pretty much the most RNG one would be, I guess, Revenge. But it makes your life in RTA so much easier because it's way easier to find comps that work well together, because the outcome for how they work together should be the same every time. There's not a chance where it's like, oh, this team worked awesome together because of all the violent procs, but then it could do terribly the next time because you didn't get any violent procs. So I've covered before why free-to-play units should be on some of your best runes. And in this one, I kind of showed off, I got rid of the 5,000, that's annoying. Why Swift units plus free-to-play units together can be a great combination, because if you have fast enough runes, you can plan for always going first, which allows you to create a team that you can better utilize in a lot of situations, versus, let's say, getting in somewhat fast, I guess, violent units. Let's see here. What's a decent-ish one that I have here? That's not what I wanted to do. Okay, so let's say her. Not even close to tanky enough. Not high enough, honestly, speed either. So it's a bit more difficult to utilize things like this because of the violent sets that you're always trying to get on it, while Swift sets I honestly think are easier to get the stats you need, because Swift automatically gives you extra speed while violent doesn't give you any beneficial stats on its own. So it's kind of up to the person what they prefer, but I honestly believe that Swift and more free-to-play units are going to become the meta in RTA, because a lot of people always complain about, oh, violent procs are ruining the game, this and that. They're not. But a lot of people will try to find ways to counter those violent procs. And, I mean, they can't proc if you never let them move. You know, it's kind of basic common sense when you think about it. How is something going to violent proc and destroy you in RTA like Diana if you're outspeeding it and getting rid of it before it even becomes a threat? You don't have as high of a chance to outspeed something if you're on violent, because you don't get that bonus stat. I mean, look, I almost never had a speed leader there, and I still did fine because of how fast I made my units. I had to sacrifice some other stats, so it can get iffy at times. But I guess I just kind of wanted to show here that pretty much everything people say about RTA and what you absolutely need to be able to even start doing RTA isn't true. I mean, look, Conqueror 3. Yeah, not super amazing. Definitely not better than my last records. Yeah, as you can tell, I didn't have time to play it all this week. But I've done decently well in here. Don't pay attention to Dragon's Time, I was testing something. I've done decently well in PvP, and I've always kind of just tried to go against the meta, because the further you stray from the meta of the game, the harder it is for people to counter you. Now, I'm not telling you, oh, go bring in 6 Minotaurs or 5 Minotaurs and you'll win, because they actually have to be decent enough monsters. But if you bring in some unsuspecting units, like, yeah, I don't see Gemini use that much in RTA, people aren't really going to think of him as an issue. So it allows you to kind of sneak in units that you want to use in all your teams without getting completely messed up when they ban the one unit you need. Kind of like with Ganning Hathor, they're going to ban Ganning or Hathor. And then you're like, oh, well, what do I do now? Hopefully this video was helpful to someone out there. If not, you know, I'm sorry for telling everyone to build Swift instead of Violent, but that's just how I am. I love doing things different than everyone else in the game, and it actually works out pretty well for me in the long run. I hope you guys enjoyed the video.